Hello everyone, I'm Michael Serapio. Even before the House of Commons returned, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre promised to introduce a motion of non-confidence determined to bring the government down. The Tories do continue to enjoy a double-digit lead over the governing Liberals, carried by a message to axe the government's carbon tax, which Conservatives blame for affordability struggles Canadians continue to face. It all sets up what is expected to be a very contentious fall sitting as Parliament returns.
What I heard yesterday from Mr. Poilievre was so over the top, so irresponsible, so immature, and something that only a fraudster would do. When he is focused on having an election on the carbon price, what he's trying to do is distract Canadians from his real agenda.
The government House Leader Karina Gould. Now, we should note Parliament's return is also expected to be more challenging for the Trudeau Liberals now that their supply and confidence agreement with the NDP is over. And to talk about all of this, we're now joined by Karina Gould. Minister, nice to see you again. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So here we are, day one of Parliament's return, and it seems the gloves are already off. As we heard, you held your first news conference today. You called the Conservative leader a fraudster. Why the need to do that?
Well, because he's not being honest with Canadians. I heard his rhetoric yesterday about the price on pollution, and it was so over the top, so misleading, and so dishonest with Canadians that, enough is enough when it comes to misleading Canadians. I think it's time for him to face scrutiny. It's time for him to be honest about what his actual plans are, and it's time for him to stop conveniently forgetting the whole policy with regards to the price on pollution. The fact that 8 out of 10 Canadians get more money back in the carbon rebate than they do in terms of paying that price. So I think it's just time that Canadians get to see him for who he is.
See him for who he is, as you say, but at the same time, the Conservatives, as you know, still enjoy a double-digit lead over your own party. The Conservative leader is already on record as saying that once an opposition day happens, they are going to introduce a motion of non-confidence. You say that an opposition day is going to come soon. What are we talking about here? Days, weeks?
It'll come soon. So, we have 11 and a half sitting weeks this session, and there are 7 opposition days. It's normal that in the first week we don't have an opposition day, but there will be 7 opposition days. They'll happen in due course as they normally do.
Okay, so that seems to underline a bit of confidence on your part, the fact that you're not going to delay an opposition day when the Conservatives are promising to introduce this motion of non-confidence. Does that confidence stem from belief in the popularity of your policies or belief that no other party is going to take them up on the offer?
Well, we'll just have to see how it goes. I mean, look, we're not afraid of a Conservative opposition day motion. It's part of the regular business of the House, and that regular business is going to continue. For me, what's important as government House leader is, doing the work. The Conservative leader in particular, but his MPs as well, they're about playing political games and pulling cheap political stunts. My job is to, see the work of the government through. It's to make Parliament work, and I'm looking forward to working with my colleagues in the other parties to do just that for Canadians.
Mm-hmm. I wonder what that means, though, because as you and I are talking here, I'm thinking about the Prime Minister who did visit Sault Ste. Marie last month in Ontario, and while he was there, this union steelworker refused to shake Mr. Trudeau's hand. He doesn't think your government is doing enough to make his life more affordable because, as he said it, he has his own dental plan. He says that he pays 40% of his income in taxes. How will your government be addressing those kinds of concerns in the session ahead? Because, again, you're trailing the Conservatives here. You say that their message, I guess, obscures what they're really going to do, but their message is really being believed in by many Canadians right now.
Well, because he's not telling the full truth, right? Because he's hiding what his true agenda is. And, what we've heard about from Mr. Poilievre in terms of what his plans are, he says he cares about the cost of living for Canadians, but When it comes to seniors, for example, he wants to raise the age of retirement, he wants to cut pensions, and he wants to get rid of the dental plan. Those are all things that matter to seniors. When it comes to families, he wants to get rid of the child care program and get rid of school food, things that make Canadians' lives more affordable. And we know that the Conservative plan, when it comes to supporting families, we have the Canada Child Benefit that can give hundreds of dollars a month tax-free to families. The Conservative plan is to get rid of that and do a taxable benefit that goes to everybody. He doesn't want Canadians to know what his plans are. That's why he's focused on the price on pollution and omitting half of the story, because that way he hopes that people won't actually dig a layer deeper. And frankly, Canadians are smarter than that. And here we are in the lead up to an election. It's time for him to ask answer some serious questions. And we see what happens when serious questions are posed to him. He gets defensive. He attacks journalists. He attacks Canadians. He denigrates people. That's not how serious leaders act in this country, and I think Canadians deserve better than that.
So how do you convince Canadians of that? Again, your party is trailing right now, and you as government House Leader needs to shepherd through policies, but at the same time make an argument to Canadians. So how do you make that argument when for the last year they haven't been listening to that argument?
Well, in fairness, Canadians often tune into an election during the election campaign. And, I'm also going to say that I understand where Canadians are right now. We have come out of a global pandemic that threw kind of everything out of order. We are facing global inflation that had a huge impact on the cost of food, on the cost of fuel. Canadians are facing tougher economic times right now. So I understand where they are. But the fact of the matter is that if someone tells you that they have a magic solution to fix that, it's just not true. There are a lot of different things that we have to do that, in fact, as a government, we have been doing to try and make it a softer landing for Canadians. And so that's part of the argument that we have to keep moving forward with over the coming months and into the coming year.
Mm-hmm. Now, there has been some speculation of a possible proroguement on behalf of your government, and there are two by-elections being held today, one in Montreal, the other in the Winnipeg area, as you know. Montreal, though, like Toronto, is historically a Liberal stronghold. If your party loses the race in LaSalle-Imard-Verdun, would your government consider proroguing Parliament to reflect on how that kind of loss would or should change government thinking right now? Well,
we are here to do the work for Canadians. We have lots of important legislation in front of the House of Commons that we want to move forward, that we want to deliver for Canadians. There is no plan to prorogue Parliament. It is about being here, working with the other parties, and delivering on a progressive agenda for Canadians.
Karina Gould, thank you for this. Appreciate the time.
My pleasure, Michael. Always a pleasure.